Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo, measures in at just over 6 feet tall, 195 pounds, and has an elite speed at 4.33 in the 40. Note, he didn't do any agility testing at the combine nor at his pro day that he didn't participate in at all, but he still comes in at a 9.78 RAS score. In 2023, he lined up in coverage on 437 snaps and allowed just a 43.5% completion percentage against him. And on top of that, he didn't allow a single touchdown in 2023. And as we get into our strengths, we'll see that he's a good tackler as well. That 6.3% missed tackle rate. You see the physicality both at the catch point against receivers and in run support. He's also got really good vision and anticipation, which helped him a lot in the zone coverage scheme that Toledo ran. And that, paired with his exceptional ball skills, allowed him to bring in 5 interceptions in 2022. Skipping agilities might have been a bit strategic since he does struggle sometimes with transitional quickness out of breaks. And at times, he can be a little bit over-aggressive, leaving him open to double moves like this. Playing in the MAC didn't always pit him against the top-end competition, but in 2022 they did play Ohio State, where he did face off against the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jaxon Smith-Njigba, both of whom went on to be the first receiver taken in the draft. Or at least that's my assumption with Marvin Harrison Jr. And while he did give up 4 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown, you can see on these 2 plays that he was in excellent position, and CJ Stroud, the quarterback at the time, put the ball where only his receiver could get it. So you can't really count that against Quinyon Mitchell. And on this play, it looked to me like he was responsible for the curl flat zone, though this completion likely counted against him as well. And Marvin Harrison Jr. here clearly wasn't the primary read on this play, but as Stroud broke the pocket, Mitchell didn't give up on the play. He stuck to his man and didn't allow a second reaction touchdown. Another play that stuck out to me in this game was this run where you see here he sets the edge and forces the running back inside where he has support. Mitchell is primarily a boundary corner and lined up just 109 total slot snaps in his college career. Interestingly, near the end of the season, this is where the media saw him.
Mitchell has the size, number 9 cornerback on Mel Kiper's big board, but he has the size and speed.
Mitchell, Jason Candle telling us, might be a second, third round pick. He's got a chance to be the first Toledo player to get a Senior Bowl invite.
And that's where he started to make his rise to the number 1 cornerback in this draft. And he showed in the first 2 days of practice, going up against higher competition than what he saw in the MAC, that he was up to the challenge. A big thing from these drills that I took away was his ability to start off a bit closer to the line of scrimmage. You didn't see that a lot in his tape from Toledo, playing usually about 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. And while this answered a lot of questions, it still kind of left a little bit about his hand usage at the line, because we didn't see a whole lot of, jamming in some of the press reps that he showed at the Senior Bowl either. But it absolutely showed what he can do in man coverage. As you see in all of these reps, he's in the receiver's hip pocket through the entire route. Not to mention seeing his speed on display, which is a huge recovery asset in man coverage. But what's the case for the Packers to go out and get a guy like Quinyon Mitchell? So he's number 16 on the Athletics consensus board, and that's taking into account a bunch of the different big boards around the internet. And he's the right height, weight, speed kind of athlete the Packers covet. To go out and get a guy like this would be huge for this Packers secondary. You are at the point where you literally just banked on the insurance policy for Jair Alexander because he's missed so much time. And that's not just last year, that's the last several years. So to bring in a guy like this, you've got another weapon in the arsenal in that backfield who's got exceptional ball skills. You can play Jair potentially a little bit more in the slot even, and then you still have Carrington Valentine and Eric Stokes on the other side of that. That would be just a tremendous defensive backfield. And this is the kind of guy you bring in, and a defensive back coach background like Jeff Hafley has would do him wonders as well to continue to progress him, and he would be almost certainly a lockdown cornerback in the NFL. But in order to do that, the Packers would have to move up, and I did a mock draft last week. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. We traded up and we ended up taking a tackle. A lot of people hated that. I didn't particularly love doing it myself, but a cornerback at that spot would be potentially valuable, and you could move up to pick 14 or pick 16 in the range where Quinyon Mitchell is kind of projecting to go, and you would just give up 58 and 25, and you would get the premier cornerback in this draft class. And a premium position like that, I think it would be worth pulling the trigger. But you tell me, if you were the Packers GM, are you making that trade to go up and get him? You know, using 58 or 41 to move up to somewhere in the mid-teens to go take a guy like Quinyon Mitchell? I want to hear from you in the comments, and I'm going to continue this prospect profile series until we get to the NFL draft, and you can see the playlist right up here, so go ahead and do that. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more of these and any more Packers offseason content.